Welcome to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera.
And I'm your co-host, Maylin
And today we are really excited to be back now that we're in season 2. I can't believe it's season 2. Like, I was looking at our page the other day and I was like, oh my God, we're in season 2.
We're like Netflix. You have seasons and stuff?
Yeah, we have seasons now, y'all. We're real official. But today we are excited to, once again, as you know, with True Print for Life, we're very, very intentional about trying to find other experts, especially women experts, as we talk about business, lifestyle, finance. And today's episode will be nothing short of that. And so today we have
Arianny Damian.
Yes, say that again. I actually really love the way you said that.
Arianny Damian.
If you need a voiceover,
the Dominican in me is living right now. I'm like, gracias.
And she looks as hot as the name. Let me tell you.
If you're listening to this, go to the YouTube. If you need some inspo, because she's got, I mean, it's the vibes. It's everything. Yes. So Arianny, we're excited to have you. Welcome to True Print for Life.
Thank you.
We're going to dive into so many things because you are doing so many things. Like just reading your bio, girl, I was like, I'm going to give you all just like a surface level because even reading this is not going to be enough. But Arianny she serves as the Director of Business Development at Thompson Building Associates, building relationships to help restore the lives of Ohioans, which even a woman being in restoration, that's like super amazing, right? She has done everything. She has her own podcast, we're going to talk about that. She's also very much into building networks between businesses and the root of contributing to the overall success of the community. A nod to her favorite quote, always lift as you climb. I love that. Arianny has an impassioned desire for serving the community around her, shown in her work with local organizations such as CAI, IREM, and the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. Furthermore, a long-time focus of hers has been aligning women with resources and connections to empower their professional success. This passion fuels her involvement with Dress for Success and serving on the board for Yes Columbus.
That is incredible. Welcome.
It has been awesome. Thank you so
much. And you're young too. I'm like, Lord.
Yes. And your podcast is Pink Bonnet Talk, which is building, building sculptures in Columbus, first Dominican-owned art collective she co-founded. I mean, girl, you do everything.
Let's go. Okay, not because you're Dominican or anything, but hello. Hola.
That is something like I have really, really like come to. I had left Columbus for a while and I moved out to Springfield and I really lost my sense of community. And I feel like when you do, you don't realize how much community like structures your life so well. Like I was watching so many people that were just doing like, they were just going to work, coming back home, and that's their lives. And I became one of those people. And when I moved back to the city, like I made it my mission to connect with like just through my industry first, but then being like, I want to go past this. I want to connect with more women. Like obviously I work in construction. So I'm around a lot of men. I'm around a lot of like older men. And while there's so much to learn there, and like I'm so grateful for the opportunity because I know that it's a rare thing for someone like me to be in restoration. On the other hand, I was like, I want to be around more feminine energy, more of that Femergy.
Yes.
And it has been so cool to kind of watch my community like build in that way where it's really, really ingrained in like my professional development is so important to me. And watching how I've built a community around women that is also such a key piece of our lives is uplifting each other. Like that's what I wanted to do.
So how did you tell us how you ended up in construction? Because like you said, that
Let's go
is,
back.
yeah, like, because even that is, like you said earlier, it's such a unique, it's a very male dominated industry. And so just like, how did that happen and kind of what has been your experience in that world?
So I've always worked for family-owned businesses. That's been something about me that in my early, I want to say like right out of college and during high school, I had worked a couple of restaurant jobs like Steak and Shake and Buffalo Wild Wings and stuff. But before that, no one would hire me when I wanted to start working. I was like 14 and nobody would give me a chance because I was way too young to be working. And one day on West Broad, right across from the casino, that Buckeye Raceway, I saw an old man man that was lifting up this sign. And I was like, he looked like he could use some help. Let me see if this man can use some help. And I came up and I had my mom drive me over and I was like, I'm looking for work. I'll do anything. Like I'm down. I'm down to learn whatever you need. I just want to work because I wanted to make some coin. I had my family. And other things too is like I've always felt like there's a certain amount of things that you can really learn in the classroom, but I'm a people person. I want to meet strangers. And I knew that from Maddie knew who she was from a young age or whatever that TikTok said. And so, I basically started there and I was like painting the go-kart track. I was like helping, them build out the race cars and all that stuff and helping them then with their accounting and then their social media. And I found that within family organizations, you can really pick up as many trades and skills as you want because they need helping hands wherever it goes. Right. From there, I was recruited in to work for a medical office. So I was working in like regenerative stem cell sales and like medical therapy and things like that. And again, just watching that experience of like, I got to at a very young age be in a leadership position that people my age typically weren't. And I was learning so much like through, I would go to my college classes, but then I would leave there and I would go to work and I would meet so many interesting people that to this day still in my career have like continued to uplift and support me just because they met me when I was 16 and had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to work hard and they knew that. Yeah. And then eventually it got to a point, in the medical field, I feel like you can only like get a certain amount without an education. Mm-hmm. And that was something like I did not finish my education because I couldn't afford it anymore. Mm-hmm. I was going to OSU and that was something like my mom had worked so hard and long to make sure I could go to OSU. She worked at the university. And for some reason, like it was such a hard topic for us because my mom obviously came to this country and she's like, I want you to make something of yourself. And so in order to like keep that climb, I was like, I got to look for something else. Mm-hmm. And I saw this job with Thompson pop up on Indeed. And I was specifically going out of my way to apply for jobs that I didn't feel I was qualified for. Because I was like, if I can get in front of somebody, if I can talk to somebody, I know I'll get it. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness, like that, like inner talk was there because I went and sure, like I technically wasn't qualified for my position yet, but they loved me and they were willing to give me a chance. And they were like, one thing I'll never forget when I was first interviewing, they were like, we can teach skills. We can't teach what you have. Like we can't teach that glow. We can't teach that shine. And over the years, like I started out, rolling around, stopping by an agent's office every day, like, hi, introduce myself. And now I'm directing my department. And I have 2 people that work with me that are astounding. And I've really gotten to build this position out to be something that is very different from what it used to be because we're a very old company. We were founded in 1978. So we have a very traditional way of doing things. And when I came in, I was shaking things up. I was like, we need to do this. We need to do this. We need to get onto social media. Y'all don't know about Facebook. Let's talk about this. And like, luckily, like I was put in a place where like, I really have people that trust me. Mm-hmm. And working in a family-owned company, you don't have all these checks and balances. And my CEO is down the hall and I'm knocking on his door like, look, this is my idea. And he's like, if you believe in it, go. And that's how I ended up. Very long story, but that's how I ended up here.
I love that story because I capture something that keeps ringing in my head. You apply for something you didn't think you were qualified for, right? And men don't think that way. I mean, research has shown. They see the description and they say, A applies to me. I mean, literally the letter A. It's nothing else. They feel like they can do the job and they apply and they get it because they have that confidence. Even if they have the imposter syndrome, they don't show it in interviews. Yeah. And I think for a long time, we have been telling women, you need to apply for the job. You always want to look at the qualifications. And if you don't meet 99.9, you don't think you're qualified. Right. And I love that you went against that because look where you are today. So for our listeners, one more time. When you look at a job description, it doesn't matter how many of the line items you meet. If this is something you want to do, I feel like you're an intermediate in anything because thanks to Google, AI, YouTube,
you can learn so much.
Oh my goodness!
Okay, you have a basic knowledge
at the very least. And the thing is, even if you go in with this basic knowledge, if you have the internal drive to say, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn it. There's so much free resources online. But even then, on top of that, there's so many people willing to share their knowledge now.
Right.
Social media, you have these duality to it where some people are like, it's evil, it's terrible, da da da. On the other hand, I've learned so much from people on TikTok being like, look,
no, really,
this is what I did.
Yeah. And you said something really profound when you said the internal drive. That having that and the discipline, right? Even when you're not motivated to get up every day or figure it out or keep going, that's, I think, truly what separates folks. Like, either you're willing to really be disciplined and to go out there and figure it out, or you're just waiting for an opportunity to like land
come
in
to
your lap.
like knock on the door like UPS or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think there's a difference when you see, like, you keep reading about like just the difference in generations. And I'm not saying all generations fall into this particular category, but I think if you look at just the differences between like millennials, for example, and looking at, versus the baby boomer generation versus the Gen Zs and now the Gen Xs, I mean, they talk a lot about just the differences and just how we process and we go after or create opportunities.
When I told my mom that I was going to leave, when I was at that medical facility, I worked there for like 6 years. My mom obviously knew that I didn't finish school. She was like, look, they treat you well. They treat you good for your age.
Yeah.
You're not facing any kind of upheaval, no type of...
Nobody's beating you.
Exactly. Nobody. Right.
Yeah.
So why do you want to leave? And I was just like, Mom, to be honest, it's just the fact, like, I do want more.
Right.
And I talk to my mom all the time about how, like, for her generation, it was really about surviving, making sure you can get the very basic. I talk about this a lot. I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it talks about how, like, you have your basic needs, your food, shelter, etc., and then you can move on to like philosophy and how you're feeling internally. And the more the needs are met, you can move on to the next level.
Yeah.
Well, my mom was in a space where she just had to meet that first need. Yeah. She had to make sure she can get food on the table, had to make sure we had shelter, etc. Because I was born in most of the people in my generation were born with those needs met. Right. We are then now in a space where we're thinking about, how do I feel at work? Yeah. Do I feel fulfilled with my purpose at work? They didn't have time to think about that, girl. She was trying to get arroz y pollo on the table. And luckily I'm in a space where I do have that, but then it makes it harder for my mom to understand. Yeah. When I'm like, I want more. She's like, how could you want more? Right. like you have it. And so like that's something that I'm actually like working on with my mom now, is kind of like helping her now that she has really met this level of need. Like, girl, let's think about how you are doing now. How is your mental health? Have you addressed your generational trauma?
Right.
No.
Right. No. We don't want to talk about that.
Right.
No. The answer is no.
And I really think that, like, thank goodness, like, I had a mother that was very like, you can do anything. Anything you set your mind to, you can do it. And I really got to see that through her, because she abandoned everything in a country she knew, came to a place where she didn't speak the language, worked her way up to being a supervisor at the Blackwell. And I got to see someone that really had, they didn't really have a chance. Like, it's crazy to come to a place you absolutely know nothing about and make a life for yourself. So yeah, I think that a lot of that internal drive really also came from looking around, which is why you have to surround yourself with people that you can look up to. I have always worked in a place where the people were either double my age or like I was always the youngest or the only person of color or something. Mm-hmm. And while that is, a disadvantage in some ways, it also puts you in a position. I just made a LinkedIn post about this. It also puts you in a position where you get to look around and watch what these other people are doing.
Right.
And even if you are the only one, you're then in a place where you get to look around and be like, okay, what things can I take and what things can I emulate and take my drive and my passion and apply it and be able to see the opportunity next.
Yes. Where were you born?
I was born in Boston.
Okay. So your mom came from Dominican Republic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were born there and she came here. Was your mom single mom, or did you have like a parent, two parent in the household?
My mom left my dad in DR to come here to have me because, she wanted her kid to have the American, she wanted me to have everything that, when you're born in a country like DR, you don't. And so it's funny too, because my mom was living in New York. And she drove up to Boston to have me because she was like, you're not going to be like these other Dominicans. You're going to be born in Boston, baby.
I love her. I need to meet your mother.
A funny character.
I feel like our mothers will have a nice podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That would be great.
Right?
Like in Spanish. That would be dope. We should look at that.
That would be dope.
That would be a follow-up coming up soon near you, the mothers of the powerful girls.
I love that.
So she left dad. Did dad come later or no?
Yeah, so my dad ended up coming later, and they lived together for a long time. And then my parents actually separated very recently. And I was really, really proud of my mom for that because she, like many of our parents in that generation, they feel like, as long as they're raised in a 2-parent home, the kids are going to be good. And we got to make sure, even if we despise each other, we got to make sure these kids get raised in a 2-parent home. And eventually got to a point, I think, that my mom, like, although she didn't want to, she got in a space where she really, really had to let go of the only relationship she ever had in her life. I was talking to one of my other friends who her parents also, they were the only people that her mom was ever romantically inclined with. And now my mama is in a space, she's in her 20s all over again. Like, I'm not gonna say how old my mama is, but my mom is now living all the things she didn't get to in her youth because she was so worried about, taking care of her husband, coming here, taking care of her kid, and doing all these things. And now, like, it's like we were talking about, my mom is now in that hierarchy of needs where she can think about, how am I doing? What am I gonna do? My mom is like going through this process of like beautification. She's doing her hair, her lashes, her everything. And she's like showing up every day. She's traveling more and just doing all the things that she never did. And I remember telling her all the time, like, girl, to be honest, we'll be cool, whatever you decide to do. Right. But just know, like, you have to take care of you first. And that is so hard for someone that traditionally, I mean, she also grew up in a 14-kid household.
Wow.
Typical in Dominican.
Yeah. Typical, exactly. Yeah. And so she was also used to just taking on all of these motherly characteristics from a very young age. And now, luckily, me and my brother are in a space we're really self-sufficient. And she's like, shoot, y'all cool, right? Yeah. Bet. I'm out. Y'all have fun.
I love that.
And
wow.
That's amazing.
So my mom is literally one of the best. Like, I would not be half the person I am without just having someone in my life. Like, as hard as she is a worker, she also goes so hard for, like, I feel like she instilled in me all the things that she couldn't have for herself of, like, listen, girl, you put on your earrings every day and you go and face the world and you go and just, you can do whatever you want. And I felt like when I was growing up, even if she didn't believe it for herself, she wanted to make sure I believed it anyway. And that was crazy.
My mom is like that. Like, she won't let me leave the house without makeup.
No, she don't play.
Like, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm just going to go. She's like, oh, no. Go back up.
Not like that, honey.
Change that.
She's
makeup,
very
right?
much. Her mom did not play. And I love that, though, because my mom is very similar. She's always like, no, you got it. Like, you got to do your hair. And I was always such a tomboy growing up.
Yes.
See, I was all about, like, the basketball shorts and the windbreakers and the Jordans. And, like, my hair was in a ponytail. So I would walk out the house looking like a straight loca. But I was confident. Like, you couldn't tell me, even though I didn't look.
You couldn't tell me.
You couldn't tell me.
You were a cute tomboy.
I was a cute tomboy. But it was just like, that was where I felt most comfortable. Like, I just was never into that as a kid. I just I was like, just wanted to walk out the house. I wanted to be with the kids in the neighborhood. Out here looking a mess. Like, looking back. But it was a different time. Like, the 90s was like, that was acceptable. Like, now you can't do that so much. But back then, like, that was like the oversized overalls and and then when Aaliyah came out with the crop tops and the boxers, I was like, see, this is look,
this is what it
is. Yeah, TLC had the big clothes. I'm like, mommy, see, this is a style. She's like, no, that's not a style.
You Latina, you don't do that.
You're not gonna
She's
wear
like, girl,
that.
get your sandals out. Like, what is going on?
What is happening? But it was, to your point, I think, like, with my mom, because we also didn't have a lot of money at all, and so I think and my mom's mom, because even my grandma was like that with her. Like, she didn't have anything, but she was always going to have that polvo. She was always going to have the lipstick.
You know the polvo, guys.
Yeah,
you know polvo.
That,
you know polvo.
You know that powder. You was going to had the baby powder on the chest, the powder on the face, and it was like, you know, you don't have much, but you need to look together. And so it was always like, you know, I knew that. And so I think,
well, the thing I feel like that taught me is when you look good, you feel better. And you can really, like, when you feel like you're showing up the way that you want to show up. And that's actually like going back to the conversation we were having earlier, when I, like, now that I have started going out of my way to just do a little bit more in my day to day, like, I've always been traditionally, like, I always like overdressed, like I'm super dressed up, but then I wouldn't do my makeup, or I would like do my hair, but I wouldn't like, it was always like a mismatch, right? And recently I had a conversation with one of my friends and she was like, girl, if you just do a little bit of something every day, so that even if you are having a bad day, you still pulling up, looking the way you want to, you'll probably end up smiling anyway. And that was something like, it's very real. Like I feel like how you show up really does affect the way that you show up.
Yeah. I mean, people will treat you different too. And you don't, even if, you know, and so I've tested that theory, you know, not on purpose, but you know, I've run into the bank looking like, you know, I just woke up real quick. Like, let me just go deposit this check real quick. And they ignore you, that you standing in line forever. But then I walk in there with a suit and a pea coat and, you know, my nails is done. They're like, can we help? What can we help you with?
How you doing, Mrs. Barrett?
Yeah. What do you need? You need a pen? You need a drink? You need, and so it's just, you know, even to your point, like being able to show up and to feel, even if you don't 100% feel like, okay, I got it all together today, it does make a difference in just like how you show up into rooms and how people treat you. It doesn't always have to be about the labels. And so I think I think Instagram and just social media as a whole, they really have, you know, confuse the idea of showing up as your best self and turning that into like, you got to have on Gucci. You have to have like this bust down part in the middle, like the you know,
30-inch on a Wednesday afternoon for lunch.
And it's like, no. I mean, I don't know where that came from, but it has become more of this like, this need to feel like you're trying to keep up with like other people. And it's just like, listen, you're going to go broke trying to, you know, keep up with folks, because the reality is, it's like, yeah, these things are nice to have. And so like on occasion, like if you want to ball out on, you know, a bag or your hair or whatever, but that doesn't, like, the labels don't make you, you know.
At all.
And so
and it's funny that you say that, because I feel like that's something right now with, especially like I've been growing like my social media following and doing a lot of stuff in that arena. And I recently had a conversation with someone where I was like, people don't realize we make the algorithm. People are doing all of these things to try to like keep the aesthetic, like try to hop on the wave by keeping the aesthetic of Instagram, which is that, you know, that beige, the very clean girl aesthetic and everything. But this is like really when individuality is the most important, because yes, the algorithm could carry you through. Sure, you could ride that wave and you could do your thing, but if people want to go, you know, do their whole viral thing, grow their audience, it's really about, what is it about you that is standing out? And how do you build your own personal style if you're trying to follow this wave and be on this, you know, we're all wearing Gucci. I say all the time, like copy paste, because sometimes I'll see friend groups, they all look like each other. Everybody dressed the same and everybody looked the same and everybody think the same. How could you ever learn something? How could you ever learn something in that space? And like, I don't know, I think that it's really us trying to adhere to the algorithm to try to gain, you know, a bigger audience is what's really keeping us all down, because nobody is doing their own thing anymore. And really basing things in, like trying to almost like gatekeep by keeping a level of, oh, if we all wear designer, we all then not everybody can be like us. But yet you have people that are pulling out. Now is when the creatives are also doing really, really well, because they're like, oh, you know what? Let me thrift flip this. Let me turn this bag into a shirt on you. Let me show you. And like, it just, I don't know. Like I feel like people need to realize, like, we are the algorithm. We make the algorithm. So we don't have to continue to fall into the same rhythm as everybody.
So true.
And I'm almost sometimes worried about how people treat people based on how they look, right? Like, I know it's common, but like a lot of the rich people, like really wealthy people, don't look wealthy
at all.
Like, you would treat somebody that looks like a bum, right? Like, just say, for using that word, and you're like, you know, let's say Christina, for example, she could have millions, right? She walks in like she woke up, you know, glowing, and they won't even look at her, right? But she could have millions, and I have seen that many times. Like, a lot of the wealthy people don't wear flashy things.
It's that silent luxury. luxury.
Yes, right. Like,
and that's the real.
That is
That's
the real
the
wealth.
real
That's the wealth I want. I don't know Gucci.
Right.
I don't care
Right.
about brands, so I really never have. Thank God. You know, I take the gifts though, guys. So if it's like if you want to give me, okay. But I buy it. No, I won't. Like I don't see the need. Right. Like I'm pretty happy what I have because the brand doesn't make me.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think a lot of people are confusing their identity with the brand.
Yes.
Like I'm Gucci, so now I'm valuable. What happens if you cannot buy a Gucci or you can buy Louis Vuitton, whatever the name of the thing is? Then that means you're not worth it. Like you're not worth being seen, worth being loved. That's not true. And I think for girls specifically now, because we work with a lot of girls, it kind of hurts to see them this way, right?
Yes.
Because their parents can't afford the thing.
Yes.
They're trying to survive. They're in that first level of the hierarchy right now. And now they're getting bullied in school because they don't have the biggest thing. They don't have, even women look at women funny if you don't have the right bag or the right shoes with the funny names, right? And that is, I think, a space where we, right, that don't think like that or that can embrace women and love them for who they are, where they are, I think shine, right? Because I love whoever you are. Girl, I will know what brand you have. You can show me the shoe. You can show me the shirt. I'm like, and what is that? Let's look at the tag. Because I don't know, and I'm grateful that I was brought up that way. First, because we were in poverty, but two, because my parents never really had that. So I never had to do that, right? Which is the same way I'm raising my kid. Like, I'm grateful for all the second hands clothes we get because he grows so fast.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to go and spend thousands of dollars on Timberlands or Gucci, whatever, and my kid's gonna leave that in a month. Now, what am I gonna do, right?
Exactly.
So, as a woman, we really have to start putting our worth and who we are and who we want to be, and like what are we doing for ourselves and others, and not on the brand, my ladies. And men too, poor men. I feel bad for them too, because now they're trying to keep up too, and they broke, and they're like, they don't want to take you on a date because they're like, I can't even take you on a date, girl. I'm like, well, you know.
Oh my gosh, when I saw there was like this
The
thing,
cheesecake. I love cheesecake. I was really hurt. I was like,
me too. I was like, they have the best Caesar salad. They got a really good pasta. I mean,
I don't eat
it's a long
cheesecake
menu,
from
but
nowhere
choices.
else. Okay, cheesecake.
Yes.
I mean, she knows when I was pregnant, that's all I wanted.
Yes.
So I was really hurt because people are making people feel horrible for a normal thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yes, you like what is the big thing? You like Alexander, right?
Right.
You like the what is it, Mitchells? The Mitchells people, whatever here.
Cameron Mitchell.
Yes, all the big names. That's fine. And I enjoy those. But I love Cheesecake Factory. Right? And the Jamaican dish, right? Like I love all of that. So that's another thing that I saw and I was like, man, like if you don't have a sense of who the heck you are and you watch something like that, now you're like, well, if this guy invites me to cheesecake, he doesn't think I'm worth it. Now I'm gonna give him, and this could be like a next millionaire. Like you don't even know where this guy's gonna go.
You don't even know. That is something I talk about all the time. Is the fact that you have no idea where people are gonna end up.
Yeah.
What someone could become. And that is one of the reasons that I just had a conversation with someone where we were talking about when I was like first getting my way in the industry and I was first trying to, make contacts and stuff and figure out where I was going to be in this industry. There were a lot of people that brushed me off immediately. There were a lot of people that were actually rude to me. I had some experiences, man, because what I used to do is, you go around to different offices to create relationships so that if they experience a fire or water damage claim or whatever, they'll think of me because our service is not something that you can sell up front. It's something that it's a reactionary basis. So, if something happens, we hope that you think of us so you can use our services. But I had so many doors shut in my face. So many people be rude to me because they didn't know what I had yet inside. They didn't even give me a chance. Versus now looking at the people that when I first started were really like, you know what, girl, come on down, sit down, talk to me about what you do. Let's talk about it. And gave me the opportunity to even learn because I was going into a new industry. And for me, I had to learn so much about what I was about to be doing. And that comes from me talking to different partners like, okay, so what is your role in this industry? And how do I learn about what you do so I can incorporate it into my position better? And now when I look at the people that were really good to me then, anytime I have an opportunity, first one's on my list. First one's on my list because you can't look at people for what just they are standing in front of you. And you also can't look at people for what can you do for me. You have to be able to open up and be like, you know what? If you want to have a conversation, let's sit down. Let's do it. Let's just my next podcast thing that I'm going to be doing is going to be called Just Take the Coffee, because one of the like bigger executives from our industry that I had just messaged on LinkedIn, like, hey, I just want to learn more about what you do. Do you think we could have a conversation? He was like, absolutely. I always just take the coffee, because you never know. Even if I'm in a leadership position, you never know what you can learn from someone coming in.
Love that.
And that's big.
We're going to talk about that, because I feel like we definitely can dive into more of just like those tips and, you know, really thinking about strategy, because that's strategy, right? Like the LinkedIn. So let's lean in and pause in a moment, and we're going to come right back to finish this conversation. Well, we're back. Just wrapped up our last episode with Miss
Arianny Damian.
And what an incredible episode. I mean, just all the wealth of tips, knowledge, especially as it related to LinkedIn. I think that's something that I'm excited for our listeners to hear as we're thinking about 2024 and just strategy and what's to come. I feel like this episode is really going to be one that you want to listen very closely.
Absolutely. I don't know about we all, but I definitely struggle with LinkedIn. So I really learned a lot of great tips to help me elevate my game on LinkedIn. So tune in to the next episode of True Print for Life. And as we always say, remember, it's bigger than you. Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited, and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.